Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jay Michaels, and as you know by now, my podcast, In the Passion Pit, is now In the Passion Pit on the line. I've often said, if I'm on the line, you're on the air, so now I guess I have to shorten it a bit and say, if I'm online, you're on air. There are many things that this pandemic has done that are unfortunate, that are deadly, that are sad, that are controversial, and we do not disrespect that. We do not give that any less honor. But one thing which I've always said, and so many other artists have said this with me, is if we look at it as an obstacle, it will be. If we look at it as an opportunity, we also will be. And one opportunity that we have is that the playing field is leveled now. Great artists can be seen all around the world at any given second. And in my travels, I met the cheerleader of Yonkers, Maryann Penzero, whose energy is enough that I don't need to plug in my computer. She's actually running it for me. And basically, she and people of the Yonkers Public Library have an arts center, an arts program that is absolutely incredible. And we're taking this opportunity to chat with them about what's going on. Maryann, nice to cyber meet you.
Yes. My goodness, you're even more handsome in person than your pictures. Don't tell your wife I said that. She's going to...
Okay. Flattery will get you everywhere. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who we're chatting with today, about yourself, about the Arts Center, and about who's here with you.
Okay, so in brief, my name is Maryann Penzero. I am a proud graduate of the American Musical and Dramatic Academy, NYC. Thank you, Jim Stenborg. I am a graduate of Mercy College in Dobbs Ferry, thanks to Dr. William Pratella. 25-year school teacher at Greenberg 11, serving the Children's Village, thanks to Sandy Mala and Myron Rock. And I currently work for the Department of Parks and Recreation in Yonkers, and now I'm so excited, thanks to Gina Bergamini, who's with us tonight. I've also joined the teaching staff of Newcastle Department of Parks and Recreation. So that's been very exciting. And the way we all hooked up was I went to the Crestwood Library, where Z Barrett is the branch manager, and Z and I hit it off. There was an author doing a symposium. Z invited me to attend that, and then, you know, a little bit of background, and Z actually had me do a premiere of my play about a month later. That led to a 3-year collaboration. We're entering our 4th year of friendship together, and Paige Frazier and I, interestingly enough, have been collaborators with each other since, Paige, you were 5, is that right?
Yeah.
5. Gina and I met up in 1992. We were in a production of The King and I together.
That's right.
Phil and I have met up this year. We're celebrating our year of friendship, and Phil is the director of Readers Theater at the Crestwood Library. And Gina and Paige are now affiliated with Crestwood because they perform with me through Penzero Productions. So that's how we've all connected, thanks to Z Bear.
That's great. That's great. It's interesting because people always think of entertainment when they think about the arts. They think about going into Manhattan to see something. But you're handing them this amazing amount of art right there in their neighborhood. Paige, let's start with you because you sent me a whole bunch of material on you, and my eyes were opened when it came down to the work that you do. So please elaborate with us the work that you do, and frankly, the miracle that you're doing it.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, so I am originally from the Northeast Bronx. And I started dancing when I was 4 going on 5 years old, which was when I met Maryann. I started dancing at a ballet studio in Pelham Manor, Westchester. And at first, you know, it was something that I just did. My mom said I always danced around the house, so she put me in dance classes. And it was, you know, in addition to that, I was swimming, I was ice skating, I was dabbling in all these different things. But I received a wonderful opportunity to play the role of Clara in the Nutcracker. And at the time, I didn't realize how big of a deal it was. And Maryann often reminds me how huge that was, to not only play a leading role at 10, but also to be a Clara of color, an African-American Clara. And my parents raised me very well because I never saw color. I just saw people as human beings. So thank you. Shout out to Alexia and Edward Fraser. So it wasn't a thing for me. I didn't realize how major that was. And I remember performing Clara and feeling like, wow, this is where I belong. Like, I love being on stage. I love being in the spotlight. Like, it was just so wild and so fun. And I got to, you know, dance with Maryann. Uh-oh. Hi, I'm back. I got to share the stage with Maryann, which was amazing because we've been friends and she's been a mentor of mine ever since. So yeah, after that moment, I just really worked hard. I was like, I want to dance. This is what I want to do. I had wonderful ballet teachers, Leslie Otto, who pushed her students to be excellent and great and poised. And I was one of the lucky ones to get into the Performing Arts High School in New York City, which is where Alicia Keys actually graduated from. And I got accepted into that school for dance, and I was able to train at the Alvin Ailey School for free. Yet again, not realizing how huge of a deal that is. For those listening, Alvin Ailey is a pioneer. He created the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, which then under that umbrella became a school and also affiliated with Fordham University. So he was a huge pioneer for dancers of color. So here I am training at this prestigious dance school, learning all types of dance, African, modern, jazz, like things that were so foreign to me because all I did up until that point was ballet. And at that same moment, freshman year, I was diagnosed with scoliosis. And for those that may not know, that is a curvature of the spine. Your spine can either curve in a C or an S. And I have an S curve. So there's two places where my spine curves. And this was happening as I was growing. So if you can only imagine being a dancer or an athlete with this type of challenge. And I remember being in the doctor's office and seeing my spine on the x-ray and just being very confused and like, it's kind of like something's growing inside of you that you don't even know, because on the outside, you can't even really tell. You couldn't tell. I was 13 years old. So it was really weird to like see what my spine looked like. And the surgeon at the time, he said, you know, we recommend surgery, but because if she continues to grow, it could get worse. But because I wanted to dance and my parents were anti-surgery, they're like, we're going to figure this out. So I found a chiropractor in New York. Shout out to Dr. Eingorn. And I also wore a back brace when I was sleeping and when I was in academic classes. So the only time I took the back brace off was when I was dancing, which is why for me, dance is so liberating and it's so healing, because being restricted in a brace that's correcting your spine and, you know, it's really uncomfortable, and many nights I didn't sleep properly. It's just one of those things that like people don't talk about this. And I feel that it is my duty to share this because there are so many, especially young girls, dealing with scoliosis, and I want them to know that they're not alone. So following this experience, I pushed on. I got into Fordham University. I continued with the Ailey School, graduated with my bachelor's in fine arts, I was one of 12 dancers to be selected to be in Ailey 2, which is the junior company to Alvin Ailey. We traveled domestically and internationally, which was a big deal for me coming from the Bronx, going to places like Germany and Bulgaria and Finland. So that was a dream come true. Following my 2 years with Ailey 2, I moved to Chicago. I took a leap of faith and I joined a dance company here called Visceral Dance Chicago, which I am a founding dancer of. And after 6 years with that company, I was like, I'm ready to try something different. So I started auditioning for musical theater. And I booked my first musical theater job with West Side Story, where I ironically, oddly enough, played a jet. So here I am again being like being cast in something that's very unlikely, but these casting directors wanted that diversity and they picked me. And following that experience, I am now living my dream in the Lion King national tour. And that's a funny story in itself because I auditioned about 7 times for the Lion King throughout my professional career. I would just go to the audition and they would say, we love you, we don't have a spot for you, and I would go home and then I'd go back. So when they finally called me, it was like, wow, like I was instantly crying. And as you may or may not know, there's only 6 female dancers in the Lion King. 6.
I had no idea. It looks like a cast of thousands.
It is a large cast. There's dancers, singers, and actors. But in terms of the dancers in the show, it's 6 female dancers and 6 male dancers. So it's very competitive. It's one of the best jobs in the world in terms of financially and you know, you're set, you're secure. So a lot of people stay for many years.
Sure.
So me auditioning, I was just on this list, like a wait list, basically.
Forever.
Yeah. Yes.
Forever.
And now here we are in quarantine and I'm figuring things out. I have my own non-for-profit, the Page
I was going to ask
Fraser
about you, a foundation. Yes.
Yes. The Page Fraser Foundation was launched and founded in 2017. And our mission is to create a safe space for dancers with or without disabilities. And Z and Maryann actually invited me to the library in Yonkers, where I was able to talk about my story and talk to young kids. So that's how I met Z. I think it was last year, actually. So yeah, so that's the Page Fraser Foundation. We have right now 2 programs, Dance is Healing and the Spine Series. Dance is Healing is an annual workshop that is completely free to dancers with or without disabilities. And I have the top of the line faculty members, people that are on Broadway, major companies, commercial work, coming in and sharing their experience and knowledge with young kids. And then the Spine Series was actually born during this time in quarantine. Just having scoliosis, having the daily aches and pains within your body and not being able to or not feeling safe enough to go to a massage therapist or physical therapist. So the Spine Series is a virtual class with people that are trained in this, whether that's breathing, strengthening the spine, yoga for scoliosis, Pilates for scoliosis, a bunch of classes that I'm offering. Right now it's through our Instagram page, but I would like to make it more of accessible, so I'm considering bringing it to Zoom as well. Yeah, I think that's it. Maryann,
That's it. Oh, you
Crack
done nothing in your life.
Crack.
I think it's amazing, and you are. Oh, thank you. And there's the ad right there. I think it's.
This
really
is Paige's name. Yeah, that's actually Paige's name in the 1999 program of Nutcracker, where she's listed as Clara. I
Wow.
don't know if you guys.
It's really amazing because you started out as this kid, you met Maryann, you had this this experience where the Yonkers Arts Group fostered you, gave you these opportunities, and when life was against you, when there you are in a cast and unable to move, you battled that, and it put you all the way on Broadway, and you're starting your own nonprofit. Well done, well done. There's so many people who would have stopped so many people different ways along the way. They would have stopped at the illness. They would have stopped at Yonkers. They would have stopped at all these things, but you went all the way. And I think you're an inspiration on that. It's a pleasure to meet you, and I'm so thrilled for you that you're doing anything. Send me all the info on your foundation. I'd love to spread the word. Philip, tell me about you. You run the reading series there, yes? Is that what I hear?
Yep. So I'm a librarian at the Crestwood branch of the Yonkers Library, and I do have some background in theater. So I have a master's in theater from SUNY Albany, in addition to the library science masters. So when I was in college and when I was in grad school, I did a lot with theater, acting, writing, directing. It's obviously something I enjoyed very much. But then when I went out professionally, I became a librarian. So I've been a librarian professionally for about 12 years, and I've been at the Crestwood branch for a year. So when I got my master's, I pretty quickly became an academic librarian. So I worked at Pace University, and one of the things that I discovered as a librarian was that I can actually use my background in theater, because when I was speaking to the students, I'd essentially have to go into the classrooms to tell the students about library resources and how to do research, how to use a catalog, how to use databases to get articles for their assignments. A big part of my job was basically kind of selling the tools, the research tools to the students in a way that would make them appealing, that would appear helpful, okay, with their assignments. So I had to have, a very lively presence in the classroom. I had to be creative with my lesson plans. So I would often have to kind of fall back on my, theatrical experience and just my confidence and my comfort with public speaking. So, that was fine. That proved ultimately helpful. I'm glad that I had that background. When I went to Crestwood, I ultimately became a public librarian because I felt like I needed a change. So soon after I started at Crestwood, I decided it would be a good idea to do like a readers theater program. So I felt like it would be a way to keep our community engaged, to have people there, not just reading roles, but also socializing. So, and it's fun just to sit around a table and just read a script. When I was a theater student, I'm unusual for a theater student in the sense that I would rather read a play than see it performed, believe it or not. And I'm also unusual in that I tend to prefer the classics. So I actually don't know a lot about contemporary theater. My wife got me tickets to Hedda Gabler with Cate Blanchett, which was done like 10 years ago. She got me tickets to Ivanov, the Chekhov play with Ethan Hawke. That, I was just thrilled. that basically that type of theater is up my alley. So
Well, that's classics, of course.
yeah, so you know, those are two things about me about, you know, pertaining to theater. But with the, yeah, I would prefer to read the plays, and also, yeah, I mean, I just find that when we're doing the plays, people have fun reading the characters. They come in sometimes, and I feel like they don't have a lot of confidence about reading a role. And by the time they've left, they feel a little bit more open about it, and they feel a little bit more confident. So that's great. I think a few of them have made friends at these programs. And originally we were doing it, you know, in person around a table. That started last year, I think in the fall. But of course, we've been doing it on Zoom the past couple months. So what are some of the recent ones we did? We did Pygmalion. We've been reading
Sherlock Holmes. I remember getting an invite to that.
Yeah, we've been doing. We're about halfway through Sherlock Holmes. We read The Importance of Being Earnest.
Right.
Yeah, so those are a few of the plays that we've read, and people seem to like it. We've actually been getting a better turnout on Zoom because I think it's because, you know, people are bored essentially. that they don't have as much.
It's how much easier is it? We all want to do things, but how much easier is it than, okay, I'm going from my living room over to the kitchen, to the computer, and there you go.
They don't have to make the commute, and
You don't have to put on pants.
and they're right. And yeah, and they may be looking for an activity at 7 o'clock on a Thursday night. So why not jump on a meeting?
I'm starting to see like a production scheme going on here. Paige, we see how Paige took her love of dance and turned it into something beneficial, not only for others, but her own, to provide her own salvation, if you will, if I can be so flowery in my words. And we'll get to flowery when we get to Z very shortly. And I'm seeing from you the same thing. Here is an artist, here's a theater person who enjoys the word. And maybe you don't feel like writing the plays necessarily, but you want to appreciate them. So you create this readers theater. And what's even great, once again, you've found an opportunity. Instead of saying, all right, I'm gonna sit at home, I'm just gonna read these things until everything's over. No, you said, here, I'm gonna give it to everyone. And you use the brilliance of Zoom. And it's funny, you're using this modern technology to give everyone the classics. So my hat's off to you. And I could see why people would love to go to the library if you're in charge, because of course you're a theater person, you make it interesting. You transcend the stereotype of Maryann the librarian very easily. And I give you a lot of credit. I remember all the libraries when I was a kid, and I enjoyed them immensely. And I probably would have enjoyed them even more if I knew I could go and speak to an actual theater person about it.
I was just thinking, do younger people now, do they know the Music Man? Might get the Maryann the librarian might get.
Of course they do,
stairs.
because in rehearsal right now is the Music Man to go on Broadway.
Oh, is it? Okay.
With Hugh Jackman as Harold Hill.
Oh, wow.
And
yeah.
I always tell, when I teach, when I talk to my students, I never just say the name of the actor because they have no idea. So when I say, go to see a Broadway musical featuring Wolverine from the X-Men, they listen to me. So yeah,
No.
Music Man's going to be out there as long as Wolverine and Professor X and Magneto and all of them are doing musicals.
Cool.
Let's talk music for a moment. Gina, correct me if I'm wrong. You have the belly dance group?
Hello? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I am a belly dancer, yes.
Good. There you are on the coast. Very nice. And do you teach, or you have a company? What do you
Well,
do?
now I'm primarily teaching. For years, though, I worked the circuit. I did clubs and restaurants in Westchester and New York City. I was I did a lot of parties, and I also did stage work with the Dahlia Corella Dance Collective, which used dancers that had belly dance but were also trained in modern ballet, tap jazz, or anything else, and used those talents to put it on the stage. And we enjoyed that for a while.
And then she paused.
Major, I have a musical family, a lot of music teachers in the family, and dancers as well, and a few actors and teachers and firefighters. I am also a certified teacher, and I'm working on my music certificate right now. I'm certified in general ed, working on my music certificate. But for a very long time, I was a performer and a dance teacher primarily. I used to work for Northern Westchester Center for the Arts. That was a wonderful place, many teaching opportunities and many performing opportunities. I grew up doing theater locally. That's how Maryann and I met, like as she said. So it's been a really interesting experience where I pretty much performed and taught the arts for most of my younger adult life. And then when the recession hit is when I went back and I got my teaching degree. I was teaching through education through music in the Bronx for a little while. And then when I was ready to come back to performing and teaching more of the arts, Maryann brought me back in. She got me some connections and some jobs. And that's how I ended up with the library and this wonderful opportunity tonight. So that's my story, and I'm sticking with it.
Belly dance.
Yes.
How do people respond when you teach belly dance? It's one thing teaching, I hate to put it this way. When you teach dance, people say, oh, dance, okay. When you teach belly dance, what's the response?
Well, I've got a lot of good stories about that. First thing is I never told my father that I was learning to belly dance. Now, remember, I was in rehearsal or in class for everything else, ballet, tap, jazz, modern, you name it. But I never told him about that. And I would sneak out to my gigs when I was living at home. And then when I wasn't living at home, I never told anybody. And then of course I was on local cable doing a performance, and my dad happened to see it and started yelling for my mother, Carol, do you see what your daughter is doing? You know, I don't know why I didn't think he wouldn't watch the TV and see me. So they finally found that out, that I was belly dancing. And he was not happy. A lot of people are a little taken aback by it. But then when my dad came down to the city and met my agent, I worked with Serena, the great Serena Wilson, who was one of the, let's say, big shots in New York City belly dancing. And he saw what it actually is. He realized it's a beautiful art form. It celebrates femininity, but that's not it. Only that, it's not only limited to women, but it certainly celebrates femininity. It's for many ages. You can be a 14-year-old, or you could be in your 80s and do it. And it has its roots in culture. And it is growing as the field grows, you know, so it's actually a very beautiful art form, very beautiful. And I think when people find out what it actually is, they love it. I do get a bunch of different reactions from people, though. I don't always tell them I'm a belly dancer at first. I might say, you know, I do modern, I do this, I do musical theater. I was actually going to a party with a friend. This was many, many years ago. And she introduced me as her friend Gina, the belly dancer. And every woman in the room moved away from me. They were not happy. And I said to her, you couldn't tell them that I also taught preschool? Because again, I am a certified teacher as well. By the end of the evening, though, the women were coming to me asking me, where do you teach? You know, how can I do this? Is it, you know, is it good for you to do? It is a great workout. It's good for the soul. And it's beautiful. I can't tell you that it's anything but beautiful. It's a beautiful art form.
And you're bringing this very rare art form, when you think about it, to the masses of Yonkers.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, and beyond. You know, many people are coming in from all over to join us on Zoom, actually.
Looking at it commercially, in the real world, I do a lot of advertising and public relations. And so I always look at the commercial with the art. And what you're basically doing, yes, if you're in Manhattan, you understand belly dancing and whatever else. But the fact that you're bringing it to a place where you might not hear about it, you might not see it, you are both enhancing your community with it. And then you're making them so, now let's go see, I just saw an ad for it. And now they're going out to see it elsewhere. And
Yes.
one day, one of those firemen, one of those people that are there, just gonna say, and then you will have enhanced them. Really impressive, really brave, good for you. And now we went from A, Maryann, to Z, Baird. Z, tell us about you and that lovely background of yours.
Okay, well, it's a lotus, the lovely background. It's on my shower curtain. So the lotus is a
In your
transformational
bathroom.
symbol.
Okay, there you go. Oh, the magic of Zoom. Okay.
Exactly, you wouldn't have known if I didn't tell you. Well, 19 years ago, I got a new beginning. I was very inspired to tell my story by Paige. My life was saved by Dr. Claude Deschamps at the Mayo Clinic because I suffer from a rare swallowing disorder called achalasia, which is a degenerative disorder. And I have continued to defy the odds, just like Paige. So ever since my life has been saved, I've devoted my life to being of service to others. So I decided to take some formal training apart from my librarian degree, which is a master's in library science. I've also studied yoga at Ishta Yoga in New York City, Kidding Around Yoga, so I can teach kids, and I took a course to teach yoga to teens. I also took Reiki levels 1 and 2 with Andrea Derline from Thrive Reiki in the neighboring White Plains near Yonkers. And I've also been very, very fortunate to study under a really great mix of sound therapy and sound teachers, Mehta Benton, Marco Dolce, Don Conroe, who's the godfather of gong and sound, Mike Tamburo, and finally now I'm studying under Mitch Noor. He's from 9 Ways Academy. I'm part of his Zildjian group, and that's a group of masterclass students who play the gong. And I'm currently taking his Dig Deeper series, where we dig deeper into ways that sound therapy can really benefit people. Because I don't know if you know, but the gong is one of the oldest and most therapeutic instruments, and it's used in yoga, sound meditation, vibrational therapy from the distant past to the present day. And it's an ideal tool for stress reduction and stimulation of the glandular system, and a facilitator to break up emotional blockages. So, you know, by using the library, where I'm a branch manager, I became a branch manager 4.5 years ago because I wanted to say yes. I wanted to champion people and ideas and new ways of being. And Yonkers Public Library has been a wonderful platform. The people of Yonkers, the people who work for Yonkers, the people who live in Yonkers, the people who come to Yonkers are all very supportive of the arts. And the Westchester Library System has, you know, we're part of the Westchester Library System, Yonkers Public Library, and our little library, Crestwood Library, the smallest branch of the 3 public libraries in Yonkers, has become a wellness portal to make wellness accessible with Reiki, mindfulness meditation, yoga, and sound meditation classes. And I've been so fortunate to be able to partner with and support the incredible work of the passionate creative artists like we have here today, Maryann, Paige, Gina, and Phil. So I just love that I get to connect people and ideas and just really help them pursue a life of passion.
I am extra thrilled to hear it. Firstly, I'm a huge fan because my wife has studied and has degrees in sound healing and herbalism and all the litany of things you've mentioned. So when you said that, I was particularly thrilled to hear that. And the passion in your voice for it shows that you make many people thrilled.
Yes, well, I love to just introduce people to new ideas and get them to think out of the box and experience things. Some of the people would have never taken a belly dancing class, but oh, it's at the library. Sure, I trust the library. It's safe. Let me try it. Let me see if I like it. You know, I'm really shy. I don't know if I could read a play. They're offering readers theater. Let me try to jump in with Phil. Oh my goodness, dance. I've always wanted to dance, but I'm too shy. I'm too embarrassed. Let me dance with Paige. Paige is coming to the library. Awesome. If she can do it, I can do it too. And with Maryann's just so wonderful. She's been doing everything from science to music to dance with us. We did a summer reading program where we did an 8-week series of the science of sound. And it was just a most incredible intergenerational experience for all of Yonkers.
I'm speechless when I hear this, because this is amazing. You take an area that, and as Philip knows, when you look at Yonkers from the point of view of Thornton Wilder, it's this little sleepy town. But what you have done is turned it into this major hub where people don't have to travel all the way somewhere else to get everything from modern dance to theater to all forms of movements and meditation. I think it's amazing that instead of saying, okay, great, I'm going here where I'm wanted, no, you put it here so it can be wanted. And I think that's really marvelous. And this is for everyone here. What effect has it had on the community? It's easy to say, I'm bringing you this stuff. How has the reception been up at the library?
Well, people were cautious at first because they didn't know a lot about meditation or mindfulness. What is this? Sound meditation? You know, I've never heard of it. Is this something that's going to help me? So at first they were a little hesitant, but then they came, they saw, they experienced, and now they embrace it as a part of their daily routine. We get so many comments on our website and in our chat comments on the Zooms after meditation and yoga and sound meditation and belly dancing class and readers theater. Like, you made my day. Like, you helped me get through the day. It's like a lifeline for me, all these public programs where I get to be in community with people who are like-minded and who have a similar passion to me, and that it helps me cope with the stress and the anxiety that this whole COVID situation has brought upon us.
That's great. How about you guys teaching this, delivering this, presenting this? What's been the feedback to you personally?
I'm going to say more for myself. I've been getting other people jobs. Paige and I had a conversation the other night, and we are always talking about living in purpose. That is just the way it's just to live in purpose. And I finally said to Paige, and I said this to someone else recently too, I feel like my purpose in life is to make other people visible. So I've been just all about getting those connections. Who can teach? Z needs a teacher. The John C. Hart Library needs a teacher. Z's kind enough to move forward in that way, supporting Paige. When I saw Paige's videos on her Facebook page, I threw them onto your page, Jay, because I didn't want you to miss her, right?
That
and
she did.
Really, absolutely relentless in making sure that people get seen, you know, being sure that you were seeing what Gina was up to. Gina is being very modest, so is Z. Z's a master paddleboarder. Gina also dances with swords. Phil is being incredibly modest tonight and low-key, so I'm going to brag. He is very, very good with IT, tech work at the library. He's brought the Crestwood Library forward in such a meaningful way. So I think the feedback has just been amazing. We don't realize what a resource the library is, you know, and how lucky we are to have that as a platform to grow in our artistry.
You bring up an interesting point. Libraries we hear now are closing, or they're combining with another library or whatever, because now you can get anything online. You don't have to, we're all happy we don't leave our homes so we can be on Zoom, but we also, how many years have we just picked up our phones and just found things? What you've done is turn your library into an art center. So it's not about, oh, I can go find that book online. No, it's about, I can now learn so much from the people that are right there. So you've done battle against, you use technology and do battle against it at the same time by making sure that your library is a thriving place. Philip, have you gotten, when you do your readers theater, do you get a lot of people interested in reading the books and the plays? Do you get a lot of people coming in to perform?
Yeah, I mean, we've been getting, I think for last night's program, we got about 15 people. And yeah, I mean, I think that some people are feeling anxiety and just about everything that's going on. So this is an escape for them. And I'm happy that we provide that, because, you know, in a way, I mean, it's readers theater, but there's also, I guess you would say, an aspect aspect of wellness to that as well, because people are, if it calms them and it makes them comfortable in some way, even if it's just for an hour and a half, then that's great. I've gotten a lot of really positive feedback. 2 programs ago, there was someone who came in who was asking me questions about, you know, what play would you recommend by, you know, Eugene O'Neill or David Mamet, or there were all these different playwrights they were asking about. So they were definitely interested in learning more. So I was able to, you know, lend my expertise with that. So yeah, I think there has been interest in reading more plays.
That's excellent. Paige, how about you? Since starting the foundation, do you find you're getting a lot of people gravitating to you? Are you getting a lot of people saying, thank you, I thought I was the only one?
Oh, absolutely. Especially, I think what helped too is we are in a time of social media. And I realized that once I continue to use my voice to share my story, because a lot of dancers, professional dancers, you know, would choose to keep this condition private because they don't want it to hinder them from getting a job. And listen, I let all of that out. I was like, I need to live in my truth. When I was dancing with Ailey too, I did an interview and I was like maybe 21 years old at the time. And I spoke about having scoliosis and it came out of me naturally. And from then it was just continuous, and living in my truth, as you mentioned, has allowed a lot of people to come to me and either in support or just from being inspired. And I can tag on to what Maryann said, like my purpose in life is obviously to perform and inspire the audience, but it's also to use my story and my testimony to let the next generation of dancers or artists or anything that you want to do, if you have a condition like scoliosis, to know that it's not a death sentence, as much as it may terrify you and make you feel depressed and make you feel like you're moving backwards. It creates a different type of strength, a different type of awareness, a different type of self-love, commitment, all these things, integrity. And these are all things that just working through with, you know, with scoliosis has allowed me to understand and step into. And I think with the foundation, what's so great is young girls have like messaged me and their parents have messaged me asking how I cope and what do I do and what are some wellness classes I take. And I've been breathing a lot more and doing this method called the Schroth method, which is a corrective way to kind of breathe into those tight areas in your back. And it takes a lot of mind strength, but there's so many wonderful connections that have been made, and that's what the foundation wants to continue to do. And we hope to one day open up a performing arts center in the Northeast Bronx, and continue to partner with people that support us, like the library, and just, you know, continuing to make those important connections and spreading positivity and spreading the importance of health and mental health and physical health. It all comes together. So, yes.
It's the fact that you're paying it forward. You made it to Broadway. There you are. Okay, you're on Mount Olympus. Great. The fact that instead of just saying, okay, I'm here, this is great, what's my next Broadway show, what am I doing, etc., you turned around and you said, okay, who can I help get here? And I think that's really marvelous. I think that's really marvelous. Gina, give me a funny story. Give me who walked in to learn belly dancing that you never thought they would? Who did, what aha moment did you have? What thing happened in terms of the belly dance career?
I think Jean Pierrot came into one of my classes once.
Who did this?
Jean Pierrot?
Steve
Sheila
Carell?
came in once. Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know if I'm
Wow.
supposed to tell that.
Yeah.
That was one time. I don't know if anybody unexpected came in. I think one of the great things, as I said, is that this art form, you could have many different ages, many different fitness levels. I think some of the best classes I've taught have been when I've had 3 generations of women in it. I did have classes with all 3, grandmother, mother, and daughter. That's been wonderful. And in some of the performances, I've had differently abled people as well. So that, I think, has been terrific for me. Funny stories, yeah, not in my classes, maybe in performance. You know, I used to do the New York Ren Fair, so we had a lot of fun times there, performing there.
Did anyone ever walk in who you were so surprised that they wanted to learn belly dancing? By appearance, by attitude, by something, you just said, really? Oh, wow. And that became your challenge? Okay, I have to, like 3 generations of women sound wonderful and heartwarming. Was there ever someone you looked at and went, oh my God, okay, and let's figure this out? Because you just couldn't imagine them wanting such a thing, not physically or anything, but just you couldn't imagine them having that disposition.
No, I think sometimes you might get people that were looking for something else, like maybe more of an exercise class. You know, I always taught it as an art form. I think more recently I'm also teaching it as a form of exercise because it is both. So I don't think I ever had a moment like that, honestly. I think people, they would take it, and then if they enjoyed it, they stuck with it. And if they didn't, thank you for trying it out. I'm so happy you were able to be here. I encouraged a few people to perform that maybe might not have performed originally. So, you know, somebody who was really shy is now a member of a troupe where they actually do a lot of festivals. So that's been rewarding.
Well, there's your success. That's what I'm talking about when I say someone who like is shy and suddenly there they are gyrating in front of an audience. You essentially broke them out of that shell. We're all maintaining ourselves under this terrible situation. This situation will end. When it ends, we don't know. How it ends, we don't know. What happens after it ends? What will the world look like when we step out of our homes and start lowering the masks? What do you think the world is going to be? What has this done to the world, whether it's the world of art or just in general? What has it done? Maryann, we open the door and what do we see?
We open the door and we see people who have learned to be more risk-taking, more embracing the creativity, taking a risk. Paige and Gina don't know it yet, or maybe they do. I am gonna do a showcase up here in Westchester. A friend of ours named Bianca mailed me a CD. I listened to it. There's one song that'd be great for Paige. There's another song that would be great for Gina. I think we're gonna see a lot of fundraising, a lot of philanthropy happening. We are definitely going to see plays and writings and poetry regarding our experiences with COVID-19. My play has about 10 monologues done. From when I told you I was going to write it in March, there's 10 monologues completed already. And I think that's where we're all going to go. I think everybody's self-consciousness is going to be flung out the window because we've learned it doesn't matter, in a sense, what shyness we have about ourselves. It's all about that luck to have the energy to connect with other people. And I think that's what we're going to hunt down, is the energy to connect.
That's great.
And find each other and connect with each other and share with each other. And I think there's going to be no stopping any of us.
Z, the door's open. What do we walk into?
The door is open and we walk into a world that we've created together, community. We walk into a world where people have had the time to become more self-aware, to discover their own truths, and like Paige has said, to be living in their truth. We walk into a world that is stronger. We walk into a world where integrity matters. We walk into a world where kindness rules, where love rules, and where there is eternal hope. So
Wow.
that's what we walk into.
You must write their brochures because that was very well said. Philip, we open the doors. What book? What are we doing? What's the world going to be?
Well, that's for me, it's such a difficult question, but I think people will be kinder. I think they'll be kinder to each other, and I think that a lot of people will have maybe even a better understanding of themselves too, because of basically this upheaval. So they've had to face a lot of challenges, and maybe they've come out of it different people who understand themselves better. So that would be great. And certainly people being kinder to each other would be wonderful. That's the ideal. So
That would be ideal, and hopefully introspection does that for us all. Gina, when you wiggle out of the door, what's the world that we find?
I can only just add to what everybody else has been saying, so that people hopefully will be kinder to each other and create their own future together. Like Z said, I can't top anything anybody said.
Paige, you've been through it. You have been through your own plague. You've been through so many things that have stopped you, and you have continued. Well, this is not even slowing you down, it seems. When this door opens, when this becomes a page in history, an angry page, but nonetheless a page, what is this page, this joyous page, going to see when she opens the door?
More connection. I think people, despite how disconnected we may feel right now from seeing loved ones, like I haven't been able to see my parents since December, right? I think although we feel disconnected, when we can finally walk through that door, we're going to really embrace those that we've missed physically. I would like to pray and hope that there is more love and kindness shared amongst the world to your friends and to strangers. And I would also like to hope that the arts comes back even stronger. What's so beautiful about live art is it brings people to the theater. It brings people together. You sit next to a complete stranger, right? So I'm praying that this new phase, when we reopen, people aren't afraid to come back to the theater. I'm praying that fear is eliminated and that we are comfortable, that we're ready to charge forward into the future. I think a lot of artists are using this time to create and work on projects that they may have not had time for. So I'm really excited to see all these ideas just blossom and grow, and be able to support my colleagues and friends in their new ideas and endeavors. And yeah, I think honestly, love is the answer, kindness, understanding, and more coming together.
May you all be right. May you all be absolutely right. And Philip, if I might add, when you reopen, or maybe even sooner, the next classic book that everyone should read is Mary Poppins. And you need to hire Maryann Penzero to read Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins.
Yeah, I can see that.
Maryann, you are a tornado that has swept all of these wonderful people into view. And from what I see, you're not stopping, and you're going to keep going, and bless you, and do it over and over again, because that's what we need in this world. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you all. It's been a pleasure to speak to you and to learn what's going on in your neighborhood and all that has gone on and the great work that you are doing. And now my confession, if you will. Your great neighborhood was my great neighborhood. I was a Bronx boy at the Northeast Bronx for most of my youth. I hung out in Yonkers over and over again. I remember seeing the original Alien in the movie theater that is probably no longer there up in Yonkers. I was there constantly. I went to all the various events, and there were 3 theatrical companies in my neighborhood. And I remember when I ventured out into the world, I said, I hope the world is as great as the companies that are here in my neighborhood. And you know what? They are. So
you were a
so
part
much.
of you were a part of Center Stage, is that
I
right?
was part of the New Community Playhouse, Center Stage, and the Island Players. I was part of, I can tell you so many high schools that hired me to be in their shows. I did every show at Columbus High School in the Bronx. I remember Bronx very well. And the fact that you guys are maintaining the Bronx and Yonkers like you are, I'm feeling very good. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you all for what you're doing. And thank you for what you're doing for the theatrical world. The playing field is down, so to see whatever you want is as big as your screen. I hope everyone goes to your Readers Theater and your classes and everything. And when we can venture out, it's time to venture to Yonkers. Thank you all very much. It has been an absolute pleasure speaking to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Love and light, everybody.
Mhm.
Cheers.